Greetings everyone, here's Lodrik again and the game War in the Pacific Admirals Edition, and in my match against Jochen, today we will check the 19th December 1941. And I think in this turn we will maybe see, with a little luck, some air activity in the northeast coast of Australia. If my first carrier division can find any shipping, not clear, because my task force gets detected 2 days ago, so maybe Jochen already sent everything away, we will see. I also have my second carrier division still near Soabaya, trying to lure out Jochen's air force and also hunt enemy ships and maybe make a port strike. Here in the Philippines, normally it's very static. I still bring in more troops before I can push for Clark Field and then Patan. So only unloading troops, nothing you really can see, only the numbers changing of the armies. But Jochen also cannot do much. At least he tried nothing active defense, he only tried to hold his position. This is the typical submarine warfare here on the coast, or around the island of Hawaii. With so far nearly no results at all. Nearly no kill for me, but also no losses in submarines. And again. Yeah, not so much activity at night. Okay, now with the same play, destroyer against submarine at daytime. And again, I consuming my torpedoes and the destroyers consuming their ammunition. At the end we also consuming the supplies. This is of course in favor maybe for the Allies. And the Allies have unlimited supplies and they have a Pearl Harbor nearby. And I must go back to my submarine bases. And Japan have for sure always a shortage on supplies. So I get some scouting information near to Cooktown. Looks like at least 3 fleets still in the sea, a little surprise for me. I would normally run away if possible, but cargo ships are of course not so fast. I think so far none of these airstrikes was successful against my submarines. But I also doubt that my Nell and Betty bombers was very effective against the Dutch submarines near Saigon and Taiwan. So I'm still trying to find here some success with my zeros, but if I don't find the enemy fighters, I can at least suppress everything and run my bombers unescorted. I think last time they had a mistake attack on Clarkfield, and this time I redirected my bombers again to the soft, weakened Philippines army, simply to make sure that they cannot break the line. I have here only these very soft, weak block forces. They are maybe not able to hold the line, so I use my air force to support this army activity. The super light bombardment of Chinese troops. Again, purpose is not damage, purpose and goal is slow down every movement of the Chinese forces, so that my Chinese army have time to regroup and cut all retreat options for the Chinese eastern armies. No Chinese fighter there so far. But Malaya also looks empty. So Jochen maybe give up already Malaya and Philippines in China to really put up a resistance in the air. Maybe wise. It's depending how the Japanese player invests in his air force. It's normally not so easy for the Japanese player to really have a lot of first-class fighters in China. I was able to bring in my heavy zero land-based fighter division or wing simply because the Philippines are empty. Some allied player maybe keep his P-40s in the Clarkfield and try to hold the air and fight there. This will simply keep my zeros busy, and this is maybe opportunity for the allied player to use the Chinese weaker air force to fight with the Japanese weaker air force. So many options. So this game has simply a lot of possibilities for each player, how he wants to use his forces. So, and after many not missing engagements, now we have here some light bomber Sonia. I still produce them, but only because they're using outdated engines I don't mass produce. And my zeros maybe can at least bring down some of these P-40s. Again, my zeros are in escort duty, so they have not so much freedom like open, even sweeping zero fighter. So my zeros are a little handicapped, let's say this. But I still have the better pilots, the better airframe. And I have a good start. every killed P-40. I mean, these are the best airframes I think the Chinese will have for the next 2 years. So if I can defeat this P-40 easier, I can kill everything in China. Yeah, of course, the Flying Tigers. But the Flying Tigers are maybe more Burma war area and less China war area, depending on how the allied player want to use it. So now I have a little problem that my 2 Warhawks can penetrate the Escort, but this is related to engine failure, and many of my Zeros are simply not more able to intercept. And of course the P-40E can kill the Sonia very easily. But again, I would say I don't care really if I lose here too many Sonias. Sonias are for me really nothing important. And the pilots are also only, yeah, I mean, of course they are pilots. I don't want to lose them, but they are army bomber pilots, the most easy stuff I can train. But at least, I think I lose here now 4 Sonias, maybe even 5. But I kill 3 or 4 P-40s. Yeah. A little unlucky the end that 2 P-40s can survive here. We will see how this play out. But if I have a kill ratio of 1-to-1, I would always accept this. For a Sonia, no problem. This is now an airstrike of from Jochen. He attacked my blocking force here. My blocking force is a little trapped, and there was simply no way for me to really try something else. So we can see here long range attack, so bomb load is only half, and this means that nearly no losses. So this, I mean, of course, also not in high numbers. I don't expect this completely, or I would maybe give some Zeros air cover and have here now a slaughter. Right, okay. Maybe another day. The famous Catalans creating the biggest loss in all my war in the Pacific history. Killing one of my super good, famous Japanese elite light cruisers. Now I lost the war nearly. But now we're striking back. So this is the first carrier division, source of Moresby, and still finding some stuff in Cooktown. A light cruiser. But my bombs are not in position, unluckily. Really. 9 elite dive bombers, not 1 bomb hit. Out of 3,000. Normally I would expect at least 1 or even 2 hits, but today was not the best thing. More sweeping, but this time no P-40s. So I hope my carrier division have with the afternoon attack maybe a little more luck, because this was the right target but simply no hit. If I have at least 1 or 2 bomb hits on the light cruiser, it would be already at least something to write a story about for the newspapers. But only a failed attack. This is not a good story. So now we have attack on Surabaya port, but I don't know if I can overcome this enemy air cover. I don't expect it here so many enemy airplanes. And especially I don't like here to see here P-40s. If there are hawks, buffaloes and demons, I would say kill them all, but a warhawk is always still something with power and armor, especially the E edition. So we must see how successful, how many of my bombers I can bring on target. And again, the clouds shows that even if I come from behind, it's super hard to create something with this light machine guns. It needs still too much time. I need here normally much faster damage, kill, damage, kill, damage, kill to cripple enemy cap fighters. But no wasting time, wasting ammunition. And coming from behind is always the best position. There's no better position for a fighter. Ugh. My zero. Unbelievable. That buffalo can hurt a zero. Also, I don't like that I can create here so many damage airplanes and kills. A damaged airplane will still return to duty most of the time. So if I want to clean up the skies of Java, I normally must kill and kill and more. I have a bad feeling. I still in place don't see that the enemy cap will break. I have two less fighter cover here. If I know this, maybe I send out my zeros only for making a fighter sweep and keep all the clouds for cover of my carriers. I simply underestimate here this concentration of air power. But maybe this was my mistake, because I know that Jochen is always going full out, concentrate always his forces. And, maybe he risked more, and I maybe must adapt to this and adjust my own strategies. So many P-40s here. I mean, compared to the high numbers of cap fighters, my Escort is maybe still making a good job. But now we get the attack on the bombers. The N1 edition is normally, I mean, they're very equal. Let's say the flight performance of both are very similar. I think the N2 is a little faster than torpedo bomber. But mainly the N2 editions are the better pilots. These are from the fleet carrier and the better support carriers. And the N1 I have normally the cheap carriers, the small carriers. I create them out of new pilots. They don't have really good skills. They only fill up the ranks. So if I'm using N1s, I would say, okay, first is the outdated airframe and the more worse pilots. The N2 is if I can choose, I would better keep the N2s and give away the N1s. But mainly because for the pilots, because I know these are shitty pilots, or just so pilots, and these are the better pilots. And I'm losing here now more and more torpedo bombers, because normally mainly the P-40s are only the problem. The others, they have all light machine guns, and I would not care so much. But the P-40s simply, they having too much firepower. Okay, but maybe this is now hopefully the end. Now the demons are coming. Alright, this is the first time that I see the demons can use it. But I mean slow, big, weak torpedo bombers are always an easy target for every kind of fighter. This attack is more or less a failure, that's for sure. The losses on, I mean, I don't lose much fighter power, but my torpedo bombers get more and more kills. So I think we still see that here are some going down, so even more. Now I hope that and maybe we can hit at least some ships here. Not a city hit, I want a ship hit. Nothing. Total Total failure. 250 kilogram bomb hit on a destroyer. I had at least heavy damage. In the second. So, I mean, this is of course not a good deal. I think maybe one destroyer and maybe the second destroyer, so maybe 2 destroyers, each just maybe 5 points, or maybe 10 points for this. 2 fighters, maybe 12 points. But I losing, I think, also similar. In best case, I treat maybe the victory points is it's still balanced because I can still sink 2 destroyers, but I don't know. Of course, I would not. If I had the choice, I would call off this attack. Now we have the strike from the Dutch Air Force. So I think Jochen to bring all his P-40s from Balikpapan down to Surabaya to increase his defense. And this was a smart move because the P-40s are really the one changing here the balance of power. But now I am in the advance. We fighting about Japanese controlled hacks. Here are my zeros. So I can hopefully bring down half of the enemy fighter force, or at least the bombers. Always coming from behind is always the best way to create the kill. So we're killing each other. The only difference is that I lost my torpedo bombers and Jochen loses fighters mainly. it's very easy to see the dominance of this Japanese Zeros against every other fighter. And my Cloud fighter just can barely maybe hold the ground in the battle. But the pilots are normally both elite, so this is really the airframe difference. Even the best pilot with an outdated, slow, weak-armed fighter have simply no way to really do something. So for the Japanese player, it's really important to produce enough high-end airframes and also push the R&D and always try to keep up with the allied development steps. Because in reality, I think in late in 43 the Japanese airframe was outdated, and they never were more able to catch up or hold the balance, and always only Japanese pilot training gets more weak, Japanese airframes lack more and more technologies. So the player is normally he better really try to do it better. Have a strategy how he improves his airframes. What squadron he use, what airframe. In which airframe he maybe focus for it. Trying to produce everything will normally end in a disaster for Japan. I think this is similar to Germany and others. Don't try to produce everything at the same time. Choose what is really necessary and then try to produce all the numbers. So we are nearly getting rid of all the escort fighters, but we was not able to attack the bomber formation. But I would say it's okay, because I normally fear this kind of Dutch bombers. They not really have much attack value. My flag can maybe even get rid of them. So this is normally a perfect defense. So if I don't use my airstrike, my port strike, I would kill here now everything maybe. Now I can kill many of these enemy fighters. I think we had even more kills. So a good defense. Ooh, but they are coming more. Luckily I have at least some things. And we can break the enemy attack. But I would normally prefer to attack the enemy fighters and not the bombers, but okay. It is like it is. Now we have the wildebeest. My caps are normally a little low now. I don't know if 1-0 is enough. Yeah, 1-0 can kill 2 at least. Damage to. So 103 wildebeest, similar to what happened just with P-40s in my Sonia. And the wildebeest with torpedoes I think is much more dangerous. But this will be transformed. They have bombs, no? No torpedoes? Okay. Maybe lucky for me. Okay. Good defense. So the first strike was really not impressive. Now I have a little more. But still not really my full strike force. Still two. The dive bomb is so far not impressive. Not at all. The most smallest and unimportant target, the torpedo bombers attack and score a hit. Not the light cruisers, nothing. Okay, one deck armor penetration, misfire, and the second also penetration and damage. Nothing critical damage, but at least fire and damage. One more coverage. Okay. And there was some vehicles on this cargo ship, so maybe if the cargo ships go down, I can create here at least some army point loss. But not really a balanced air war. And the 1-to-1 kill ratio is always in favor for the Allies, so I need a 2-to-1 kill ratio normally to keep up. To have also advantage in the future. So this is again failure. And something just sinking. So I believe this must be can be the destroyer in Surabaya, or maybe the cargo ship in Cooktown. Okay, now is attack on Georgetown. But there was not much left, and the question is only if they running or lay down the arms. So Georgetown is now free, but also not much left. So I bombed it so heavily, so there was nothing really to fight. And here is now this Filipino unit without really any morale. But I have not much here on my own. So 77 to 21, but the Philippines have no morale, so they're down to 1. So, broken. And now they're dead. Not only broken, now they're really dead. I mean, they don't want to give up, but they are empty. Yeah, pick up some small nonsense island, but take them. Make sure no sub bases here, no air. Yeah. Secret hidden airbase. And yeah, this is now this Chinese 5th war area and all the units. This is my unit. I can say mislead, or I maybe did something because I blocked the highways here, so it was hard to maintain these 2 Chinese forces, and I also distract a lot of Chinese forces here. Maybe buy some time for my bigger armies to move in position. Here's an empty base I can take. And this is the war, the day is over. So, we arrived at 20th December 1941. I think the air war was really not the best. So 17 to 19, flag loss the same, operation was the same. So really, I lost simply too many torpedo bombers. The Sonia really not so care, but the torpedo bombers. So I lost 10 of my outdated low trained pilots, so they are not so important, but still airframe to train pilots, I would say. I can kill 8 P-40s, this is good. I lost 7 of my beta torpedo bombers, this is really what I don't like. I can kill more buffaloes. The Sonias are totally unimportant, this 4. I can kill the wildebeests are good to kill, and the rest doesn't matter. So P-40 kill is good, wildebeest kill is good for me. Losing this Kate bombers, first or second, this 17s I really don't like to lose. So 17s have good pilots or airframes I really don't want to lose, but I can kill also 8 plus 4, so at least 12 good ally. And maybe the buffaloes are also not so bad, but overall it was not a good air war for me. I would not, this is just a 1-to-1 kill ratio, just so. And my navy strike was not enough. I can maybe kill this cargo ship, maybe with some army troops, additional kills points, but and 1 or 2 destroyers go down. It's barely enough. At least I lost no ship. In China I cannot say much because there is normally not any change. My units gets kicked out of this hex here in the north, but this is okay. So 180 is the maximum. I'm down to 140. So I lost here some power. Of course this unit is now need rest and recover. It's for sure out of active duty. It's only a defense force now. So I must call it back to Xinjiang and maybe for 1 week I must rest it, and then it's maybe back to good enough to use it. Maybe 2 weeks, then it's for sure fully recovered. Nothing much more in China happened. This is only I try to push here. Wenchao is maybe fall next week, so then I push here, try to take this location. Here is nothing really important, but take this crossroad to try maybe to trap this 2 units and this unit. At the same time I try to catch this, and they're running, I try to catch, so I don't know if I can catch them. And the other army is moving here north and trying to go to Kukong. If I can take Kukong and then move here over the bridge, then I have here everything under control. If I move here over, take this hex, then here's now my every road blocked, and all these forces can be slowly wiped out. So not much more in China. In Malaya is also nothing really crazy happening. I unloading troops here, still more coming into Mersing, so 1 week more I may be ready to attack again Johor Bahru. Georgetown fall, next is Taiping, and then we have the final battle of Kuala Lumpur. Once I take Kuala Lumpur, I have the highway open, then I can bring my second big army down to Singapore, and this is the 15th army with all their equipment. You can see Moses here, 15th Army, 25th Army, Commission, Fleet troops in Southern. So 1,300 attack values in this one hex. Here I have 400 attack value. Here is also 350 attack value. So and this is not so much, 200. Yeah. So at least 2,000 attack value I can go and bring in Singapore and finish this hopefully quickly and intact. Important is that Singapore will not be a completely burnt ruin like in the dojo game. This really cost me nearly over 1 week. All military success is worthless if I simply cannot take over the industry. Yeah, here is only that my battleship formation is returning. We have normally still ammunition, but I am running a little low on fuel. And I have also 3 damaged destroyers I must bring home. And my carriers are, I think, now burnt out. This really, the loss of this many torpedo bombers shows me that I need zeros. The cloud fighter is still not, it's simply not enough. The cloud fighter will not, it's maybe just enough to just keep up with the simple allied fighters, but against the P-40 it's normally simply outclassed. A Buffalo I can maybe still catch, but just barely. So in the carrier division first here is I think I try to intercept, maybe I go source east to make sure that all the shipping, if they're trying one source I will intercept them. If they're going north then I will maybe miss them, but it's it's always a gameplay. I simply would go source because in the source is Sydney and Canberra, Brisbane with the shipyards, and in the north is only Darwin. And Darwin have no shipyards, so it's if there's something damaged, it cannot be fixed. So this is why I would suspect that most of these ships go source. Okie dokie. So not much more. Yeah. Slowly. The most important is I can unload all my troops without much trouble in the Philippines. I can unload my troops in Malaya without any trouble and high losses. And I make sure that the skies of Malaya and Philippines are clean. So my operational strategic advance is smooth. Nothing stops me. All this carrier battle, all this night engagement with the Navy, it's a lot of noise, a lot of kills, but it's not really the most important. Most important is for me and for the Japanese player, take the bases are important. Take Singapore, take Malida, Clarkfield, Bataan. Then normally take Java, take Surabaya, and Balikpapan and Tarakan is also okay. And Palembang, of course. Good. Thank you all. See you. Bye-bye.